Hi, I'm Bianca Ballog, and this is the story of how I came to faith in Christ. Like many American families, or maybe many just families in general, growing up, we went to church on Easter and at Christmas. And that was pretty much it. And I had a really, wonderful family who had a foundation, but I didn't know Christ at all. I classified myself many times as agnostic. I ventured into learning about other religions. And I always just had this very open, holistic feel about me. And I really felt like I was wise, and I being open was just that much better, and not identifying with the religion. And so when you're a non-believer, I feel like there's always this tug. And so that was my experience. There's always this void, and you try to fill it with things of this world, whether that's things you acquire or your career or different sexualities, and there's always this tug of something, and you just can't identify what it is. And so what's interesting about my story is that my life was actually good, quote unquote. I didn't have a lot of, I was doing, I was a rule follower. I was doing great in my career. I got, good grades. All the things that check the boxes of, having this quote unquote good life. And so when I came to Christ, what I thought was my good life became just incredible and full. And that's not to say that I didn't go through trials and tribulations after Christ, because let me tell you, about a year after I gave my life to the Lord, my marriage fell apart and we almost lost everything. I will get back to where we are today, but it's not to say that you're not going to have struggles. But when you're doing them alongside God, I can't describe how whole it makes you feel, how my anxiety lessened when I came to Christ, because I knew that He was leading my life, and I put my trust in God, and the calmness that I feel, and just when I think of God, I think of feeling embraced, and God is like water to me in the sense that He's in all of the cracks and crevices of my life, where I need Him always, and every shift and turn that I have. And so March of 2017 is when I made that decision. I started going to church, and I was just sitting there, being polite, listening to the pastor, and just every week it really started to, I relate to that. Oh, organized religion, which I hear a lot of people say, they dislike. Well, that's not what this is at all. Coming to church, and that's not what it felt like to me. It started to feel like home. It started to feel, Christ pulling me in situations that I could relate to. And so my husband and I made this decision together to give our lives to the Lord. And I tell you, the past 5 years have been just really, really, really wonderful for me to have a leader and a God in my world. And so getting back to the issues that we had in our marriage, it's not to say, this is not a promise that if you come to the Lord and you come to Christ, that your life is just going to be wonderful after that, and you're going to win the lottery and everything's going to be hunky-dory. It's simply to say that you're allowing God to lead, whether that's in a trench, whether that's in a valley, whether that's at the mountaintop. And so currently, when we worked through those trials and tribulations of our marriage, I tell you, the reason we're married today is God. And it's interesting, the timing of when we gave our life to God, because had we not done that prior to the issues that we had, gosh, I don't know. I don't know if we would be where we are today, but we zoned in. We made God the focus of our marriage, and it was not easy at all. Each day I was like, oh my gosh, I really wanted to go back to my worldly ways of just storming out and doing it all over. But we focused, we zoned in on God. We made Him the Lord of our life in our marriage, and it has been incredible. Not only is my marriage restored, it's vibrant and dynamic and everything that I could have ever wanted in my life in and of itself. I still struggle with anxiety. I just had 2 twin girls, the most amazing blessing of all time from God. But I still have senses of anxiety and worry. I worry about my children all the time, and that's something that I'm praying to the Lord for. But I tell you, just this sense of it's in His hands, and it's having faith in my life and having God in my life, it just gives me a sense of peace, and knowing that we're raising our children, into the Lord, and praying for their futures, and praying for their decision, and praying for my husband and my family. And it's just been a wonderful, wonderful decision. I am so thankful that I have given my life to the Lord, and I speak to those who are in need and who are not only struggling, but think that they have it all figured out. If Christ is not leading your life, you don't. And that is just blunt and honest and truthful. And I'm praying for you to find Christ and to experience what this life is like with the Lord. My name is Bianca Ballog, and Jesus is my Lord.